Show me the money.
Just looking good, but I think I'm taking too long.
Back with the spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! I'm Derry. Does that make you feel good just to say that?
All right, show me the money. NFL picks for week number 6 here on the podcast. Join me today, somebody who haven't had on the pick since year number 1 of the pick segment anyway. Joe Cioffi's back here. Joe, how are you?
I'm happy to be back, Michael. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We'll get to your football team in a minute, but this is Hockey Week on the podcast. I did the NHL preview with Pete Considori a couple days ago. That's up in your feeds if you haven't listened yet. But since that episode aired, the Rangers did make a big move. They signed Mika Zibanejad to a big contract extension, long-term, 8 years, $8.5 million per. You're a big Ranger guy, so let's start there. What do you think about that?
I think it's a move they had to make.
Yeah.
I think, obviously it takes them out of Eichel. But that's a huge gamble to take at this point because now the edict is pretty much out. They need to make the playoffs this year. Eichel still doesn't have a neck, essentially. So even if the Rangers were to trade for Eichel, taking on that $10 million a year means Zibanejad's going to be out at the end of this season. Does that make one, Zibanejad immovable at this deadline, but two, you don't know when Eichel's going to be able to play. So if the Rangers' edict is to make the playoffs this year, and it is, you need your number one center, and you need Zibanejad. So to have him locked up, the end of that contract's not going to be great, of course, but to get him at 8.5 is a really good value when you look at Barkov just got 10, Eichel's making 10. As guys hit unrestricted free agency, the number's only going to go up and up and up. And as the cap goes up, hopefully, it sounds like 3-4 years from now, that hit gets worse and worse. Oh, better and better and better. So the back end will look bad, I'm sure. But under 9, I'm happy, and it's under 9.
Yeah, for sure. And you just mentioned basically that they traded the extra years for a lower AAV hit, which makes sense. They have to pay out in Fox when you have to worry about some of the next level contracts with some of the kids like Lafreniere and Kakko. Kakko's getting RFA after this year, so they can make a lot of sense to do what they did.
Right, and they had to. To go into this, and also Ryan Strom's a free agent at the end of the season, which is another wrinkle in this. So the Rangers went into this season with their top 2 centers unsigned for next year. That either tells you that they were planning to trade for Eichel at some point, or they had something, or maybe Tomas Hertel out of San Jose. But they have their guy. Sometimes you know what you have, and it's better to sign your guy than to take a gamble on another guy for a big contract. So the Rangers know Zibanejad. He seems to really enjoy it here. He has a lot more reasons now to enjoy New York, but to sign your guy, keep him here, no-brainer. No-brainer.
Yeah, it is a no-brainer. And let's go to your football team. You're a big Tennessee Titans guy, and last week they played the Jags. They had to win that game. They did win that game pretty convincingly. So what's your takeaway from that game?
Thank God for Derrick Henry. Tannehill's had a career resurgence. All summer when the Titans got Julio Jones, I got many texts and phone calls, and I'm like, it's kind of old now, but like the name still is a big name. He hasn't done anything. The offensive line isn't what it once was, for sure, with a few departures in free agency. But, Derrick Henry is the whole team. Tannehill's fine, but if Henry doesn't have a career game, we lose this game to the Jaguars. 3 touchdowns is a pretty good week. So, yes, the offensive line does create the room for Henry to some extent, but I think going into this season, the Titans are kind of like a sexy Super Bowl pick. I really don't think they look anything like that right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at because you see their division stinks, and nobody else in that division is more than 1 win. And Tennessee sitting at 3 and 2, like, okay, great, we're gonna have a home playoff game, got a good set up here to go potentially get in the playoffs and maybe make some noise. But you lose to the Jets last week. You had the disaster the opening week. You win, have a great comeback in Seattle. You're like, I have no idea what to make of this team.
And look, if you just look at the AFC, I think based off of last week, Buffalo is the class of the AFC at this moment. I don't know how you can argue otherwise. Is Tennessee in the league of Buffalo? I would say no. Yes, the division's horrible. Houston, the kid that played quarterback for Houston this week actually had a really good game. The Jaguars are young and up and coming, but again, Tennessee winning this division isn't like an accomplishment. So will they make the playoffs? I would imagine so. But to think that they could beat Kansas City or Buffalo in a big game, I mean, there's no way. It can happen. Anyone can win one game. I shouldn't say it can't happen. But if I had to put money on it, is Tennessee going anywhere in the playoffs? I would say no.
Yeah, and obviously this week they have a big chance to make a statement here because Buffalo's coming in here on Monday night, and that's a spot where you're looking at it, and Buffalo could come in here a little high off the win, maybe catch them like a little flat here, and a big crowd at home. Yeah, it helps, but what do you think has to happen here for Tennessee to win this football game?
Can Josh Allen get like on the wrong flight and not show up? I mean, he's so good. I mean, yes, Mahomes gets the headlines, and Mahomes got the Madden cover, and he in the Super Bowl he has all of his pedigree. But Allen's so good and just so impressive. Like you watch him play, and like he's a beast. He's built like he has a cannon. He's just great, and they really don't have a running game. Like Devin Singletary's okay. Like there's nothing on that team to me that screams elite talent outside of the quarterback offensively. Like so, unless the Tennessee defense and Mike Vrabel can come up with a way to stop Josh Allen, I don't see this week going so well for the Titans. But again, it's one game, and maybe you're right. Maybe they overlook the Titans and take them a little bit too lightly. But and also Julio Jones may or may not play. Who knows if he's ever going to return? So if Tennessee can get back Julio and Tannehill can have a decent game and Derrick Henry can just carry the offense again, they have a shot. But again, I think running against the Buffalo defense and running against the Jaguars defense is very different for Henry. So I don't see this ending well for the Titans here.
Yeah, I think you said it right. I think Tannehill has to have a big game for them this week because I think you're going to have to go score for score at Buffalo try and win this game. I don't think you're going to stop them at all.
No, and when you look at Tannehill and Allen, like it's just, again, a different class of player. And if I'm Tennessee, dare me say anything bad here, but how many more years does Tannehill have? So I think in the upcoming drafts, quarterback needs to be addressed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's on a contract that you could probably get out of like 2-3 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they take somebody and say, okay, we'll develop him behind Tannehill and then like 2 years to give him the job.
Well, hopefully, though, it's crazy how many quarterbacks now don't do that. I mean, I know I'm going to be called an old man here, but, that was the norm for so long. You drafted a quarterback in the second, sometimes late in the first. Obviously, when you're a top 3 or 4 pick, you play. But you late in the first, early second, early third, they sit, they learn the offense, they develop some chemistry, then they eventually get in when the older guy goes. I think that'd be a really good formula for Tennessee to follow here. And I believe when they drafted Tannehill, they had Matt Moore in Miami.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
So could the same thing eventually happen to Tannehill, where he's the Matt Moore, he's the veteran, he's the guy that's been there for a few years now. I mean, Tannehill's just going on year 3 or 4 at Tennessee. So does they Matt Moore Tannehill and draft the quarterback eventually, because they're going to be picking at the back of the draft, at least for the foreseeable future, because this division is just a disaster. So if they keep picking in the 19 to 25 range, eventually that's a quarterback you can take, let him sit, learn, and hopefully ready to go. I mean, their history of taking quarterbacks, Vince Young, Jake Locker,
not great.
Mark Mariota, not great. Not a great history there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to the pick. This is why you're here this week. Our good friend Phil Freda was here last week. He did the rare 1-1-1. He went 1 win, 1 loss, 1 push. He had the Broncos getting 1.5 in Pittsburgh. They got blown out, so that ends up being a loss for him. He had the Packers pushing the 3 against the Bengals. They went to overtime. They ended up winning that game by 3, so no credit there. And he had the Buffalo Bills getting the 3 in Kansas City against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. That game went very well for him. Obviously, the Bills ran away with it, weather delay notwithstanding. So it took a while, but we got the very rare 1-1-1 from Phil Freda on the week.
I hope I do better than Phil, but we'll find out eventually.
We will. And I, on the other hand, I went 2-1 last week. I took my own chance at the Jets getting the 3 points. That was stupid of me. The Jets ended up making me look like an idiot, but I had Detroit plus 8.5 against the Vikings. They almost won that game outright, but they covered the number. I took your team, Joe. I took them laying the 4.5 points, and they covered for me. So good job, Tennessee.
That was the game they couldn't lose, especially coming off the Jets game. Like they couldn't lose that game. And you know what? It was close. Like it wasn't at the end got away, but Jacksonville was always in that game for a long time.
It absolutely was. So on the year, team challengers, slow start, 4-10-1. So you got to help them out a little bit today, Joe.
I'll try.
Yeah, you'll try. I'm 7-8. I started off slow and picking up steam a little bit the last few weeks. I'm going to get over 500 this week, but we're going to.
If only the great Mike Francesco is here and we can take our picks against his.
Yeah, well, he's not here. We are here, so we're going to go ahead and do these picks for week 6. Joe, yes, the guess you are up first here. So where are you going with pick number 1?
Well, the rumor is that Geno Smith is playing for the Seahawks. They're going to Pittsburgh. And I can't see Seattle being competitive here in this game.
Yeah, that's one I like as well. And the Steelers are laying 4.5 here in Pittsburgh. I think it's a game they can definitely win. I think Pittsburgh coming in here, playing very well, playing aggressively defensively right now. Been in a big game here. And Seattle's defense is not that good. Jamal Adams still can't cover people. That's a big problem.
Right. Also, playing in this game, I may go the other way with this pick, but I mean, you know Geno Smith better than anybody. What are your thoughts on Geno Smith?
He's not going to do well. I'll say that much.
I don't think so either. So that's why give me Pittsburgh at home.
All right, that's pick number 1. If you pick number 2, where are you going?
I'm going to go Green Bay. The Packers it's only 4.5. The Bears are a mess. So I don't know what's wrong with the pick makers here, but give me Green Bay. Who's on the Bears? Montgomery's out. There's Owen playing quarterback. Had a very good game last week. Maybe a little tired. I know Burrows and Rodgers going back and forth was awesome to watch. But the Bears and the Bengals are on very different levels here. So give me Green Bay.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I think this game, I think the bang division game, Chicago's at home. This will be a little closer than people think. But like I said, what have we seen out of the Bears? You're right. I don't know why people have so much faith in them from the odds makers, but it makes no sense.
I don't understand this one. Now, my last pick I was very conflicted on. It's really between two games. But I'm going to ride the high. Give me the Cowboys. The Giants, I know, had some problems last week staying on the field. But I think that's a team that's playing with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence. I like the new tight end, Dalton Schultz. I think he and Prescott have a nice little connection brewing. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, laying 4 in New England, and that's one of those games. If you're in Dallas and you want to take you seriously, you cannot lose that game. You have to go on the road and take care of business.
And Mac Jones has been good. This is not a slight on Mac Jones. I just think that the Cowboys come off a big win. They're going to be they might be a little too overconfident, which would actually swing the pick the other way. But again, we're talking about bad divisions. The NFC East is a bad division.
Yes.
So if the Cowboys want to make a statement and take a nice firm grasp, I mean, also, too, you have the Eagles playing the Buccaneers, which is a tough game for them. So if the Cowboys can have a nice big win here and the Eagles, which I don't see them beating the Buccaneers, Cowboys can leapfrog that division. This is a big game for them. Give me the Cowboys.
All right, those are Joe's picks on the board. I'm up now. Pick number 1. I'm going to stay in the AFC North here. I know you did the Steelers before. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns getting 3 at home against the Arizona Cardinals. And I think this is a spot where the odds makers have this right here. I know Arizona undefeated. They're going on the road. Cleveland is favored, but Cleveland has lost 2 games by 1 possession to the Chiefs and the Chargers, who are 2 very good football teams. Arizona, I think they've been playing with fire a little bit. They've had a couple of close calls here. I think the luck runs out here. I think the Browns win this game by a touchdown. Give me Cleveland -3. Pick 1.
Kyler Murray's really good. And not to discredit Baker Mayfield, but I know obviously the pedigree comes with Kyler Murray and his high draft status, but I think he's been better than people expected.
Yeah, I just think I have more faith in the Browns. I think they're a much better team than their record indicates.
And David Njoku's come back and he's played very well.
Yes, he has. Pick number 2. This for me is just a pick of I have faith in this team. They're not going to completely fall out of the mix here despite their record. I'm taking the Chiefs laying 7 in Washington against the football team here. I don't think Washington is as good as they were last year. Obviously, losing Heineke hurts. I know this is a risk laying that many points at the 7 because Kansas City's defense stinks and they can't stop anybody this year. But Washington's defense has not been good either. I think this is the get-right game for the Chiefs. I think they go out here, put up a big number, win by double digits. So give me the Chiefs laying the 7 and watching in pick 2.
I mean, the Chiefs are also going to be pissed coming off that game against Buffalo. So if they're going to look out for some revenge, I mean, listen, I think Washington has a good defense, but the offenses are just in two.
That's for sure. At pick number 2. Pick number 3, I'm going to get an underdog on the board here. I'm going to take the Raiders getting 3.5 in Denver against the Broncos. And I think last week the Raiders, the Gruden saga was sort of overshadowing them. They were sort of distracted. We saw it in the field. Now he's gone. Now we have them going to Denver against a Broncos team, which I don't think is very good. All 3 of their wins have come against teams that combined 2 wins on the season. My team, the Giants, and the Jaguars. They gotten exposed against better competition here. I think that the Raiders' heated rivalry coming out refreshed from getting out of this controversy, and they give the Broncos a fight, if not win this outright. Against the hook, which is great, which means they can win with losing by a field goal. Give me the Raiders getting the 3.5 points, my last pick of the week.
That's a dangerous game. I don't think the Broncos are good, but given the distractions involving the Raiders this week, who knows where their heads are going to be at. But just in terms of talent, I mean, Carr's the best player on offense between the 2 games, in my opinion. And also on top of Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow went from as a joke on Hard Knocks to actually being a legitimate wide receiver. So there's some talent there in Oakland. I can't hate that pick at all. Denver's just not good. It's not good.
Yeah, they're not good. Plus, I'm a little invested in the Raiders. I took them as an over this year. So if I get one more, I'd be feeling good. The number was 7. I already had 3.
Wow.
Yeah, so to reset the picks here, Joe has gone with the Cowboys laying 4 in New England against the Patriots. He's gone with the Packers laying 4.5 in Chicago against the Bears. The Steelers laying 4.5. You love those 4s on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers.
I just don't know how with Geno Smith playing, there's only a 4-point spread.
All right. Those are your picks. I took the Browns laying 3 at home against the Arizona Cardinals, going to hand in their first loss. I have the Raiders getting 3.5 in Denver against the Broncos. I have the Chiefs laying 7 in Washington against the football team. Those are your picks for week number 6 on the Just End the Suffering podcast. Next week on the board here, the great Alan Ross is back with us. We're probably going to break down another Giant loss. That's not going to be pretty for him with the Rams coming in here.
No, and again, who's playing quarterback? I mean, listen, Mike Lennon, I think, got a raw deal in Tampa Bay. He actually wasn't that bad when Jameis Winston was drafted and took his spot, but Matt Stafford and that Rams team have been a wagon, so good luck.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the knockout of the Giant Ram game, I'm going to the knockout pick for the week. Last week was another easy one. I took Tampa Bay over the Dolphins. I went well out of hand in the first quarter, so I was taking care of that one very easily.
I consider taking Tampa Bay this week. 7 again is a big number, but you've seen with Tampa Bay, they don't care what the score is. They're going to play offense. So I don't think Hurts can keep up here. And until he's knocked off the pedestal, they have the greatest quarterback in the league.
All right. So to reset what I've done so far this season, I hit the 49ers week 1 over Detroit, Cleveland week 2 over the Texans, Carolina over the Texans week 3, Buffalo week 4 over the Texans. I picked against them 3 straight weeks. I took the Bucs last week. This week, I'm going with the Rams over the Giants as my knockout pick of the week here. And the Giants, too many injuries, and the Rams are too good.
And again, who's moving the ball on offense for the Giants? Like Booker and Glennon, maybe. Daniel Jones has had a much better season than Giants fans want to admit. Barkley's had a little bit of a slow start, but he's not playing for a few weeks. Daniel Jones may not be playing for a few weeks. So unless that rookie wide receiver wants to carry the offense, I don't see how they compete with the Rams here. And
the Rams had 3 extra days to get ready for this game. They'd play Thursday night, week 5. So they're going to be even more rested. That's not good.
And the Giants need all the rest they can get.
Yeah, so right now, we'll see if I make it to week 7 here. This has been a good run for me so far. I've made it to mid-October, the knockout bowl. It doesn't happen very often.
You're making it. If the Rams, I can't see this one. I mean, I feel like the Jets and the Giants both have a knack for winning games they have no business winning. So this would fit that mold, but
they're too hurt.
Very sound decision.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes next week. Joe, thanks for all the time for today. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can we follow social media and keep up with you?
I am at J_Cioffi on Twitter. Instagram at Joseph Jew Cioffi, my full name. There's a few hyphens in there, but I'm an easy man to find. Just text me. I'm always here.
All right, you'll do that, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. It was always a pleasure.